You're listening to the Reds Podcast.
This is episode number 150. I'm talking about friends and family who don't support your creative and business ideas. That's coming up.
This is the Red Podcast. Real entrepreneur development. Make more money, work less, and live a life of freedom. No BS advice that really works. Here's your hosts, David Hooper and Laurel Staples.
My father's been volunteering with a charity organization probably about 10 years and has always been, until this year, in the administrative area. He handles the business, but he hasn't really been into the fundraising element of this charity until this year. A few weeks ago, I got an email from him. It was not only just to me, it was to more or less everybody that he knew, friends and family. And he was asking for money to support this charity. This is a nationwide organization. They have hundreds of events around the country. There was one here locally, and he was fundraising for that, went to local people that he knew, again, friends, family, and said, hey, can you support me in this? And I took an interest in it because, one, I'm a copywriter, and I've sent out hundreds, if not thousands, of marketing emails, postcards, letters. I'm always curious to know how those things do. So a couple days later, when I next saw him, I asked him, how did that email work for you? And he explained that it worked, but it didn't really work as well as he wanted to. And I don't know what he was expecting. It really wasn't a question of conversion. It was more about his experience. And he mentioned to me that it's very disappointing when you have something that you're working hard on and you have supported other people and you go to those other people for their support on your project and people just ignore it. Now, this is something that I really related to. If you've been listening to Red Podcasts for a while, a few months ago, you may recall Laurel had a project. We called it Project X. It was a skincare company that eventually became known as Love Your Face. And we had the same experience. Let me share the Project X story with you quickly because this makes my point. We didn't want family or friend financial support, and I'll get to that in just a minute. What we did want, though, is for our family and friends to support by backing the project with $1. And we specifically said in the email that we sent out to family and friends, don't give $5, don't give $10 or even $20. We just want $1. And here's why. We're trying to get the number of backers up. This was a Kickstarter promotion, by the way, crowdfunded. We're trying to get our number of backers up. We're just looking to create momentum. We don't want to put pressure on this relationship. $1. That's all we asked. And I thought, that's an easy sell, right? These are people that we've known. These are authors where I've purchased their books. These are speakers and event producers where I've attended their events. These are people that I've bought their products. I've promoted them on my own social media circles. Some of them even we've mentioned here on Red Podcast. I thought it was an easy sell. Just $1. That's all we ask. It'll take you about 5 minutes to do that. Got all sorts of emails back. And the emails were like, oh, looks like you're well on your way. You know, it would have been better for me personally to not get a response like that. Just ignore it. Don't support it at all. We went to a limited number of people, and some people, the people that you wouldn't have expected to really come through for you, came through with a lot. All we wanted was $1. We got so much more than that. And then the people that we had really supported, you know, some of them, not so much. So that's a little bit frustrating to me because I have a policy, and that policy is to support everything. If it is you, you're not asking for a friend. If it is you, I'm going to support your crowdfunding project. If you write a book, I'm going to buy that book. I'm going to tweet it out. And why is that? Because I've written books, and I know how hard it is to get support for a book, to get reviews for a book, to get buyers for a book, and to give that book some momentum. If you've got a podcast, you send it to me. I'm subscribing to it. I'm rating it. I'm reviewing it. I'm telling my friends about it if it's a match for them. Even on Instagram, if you've got a photo there that I think is good, and the bar is pretty low for me to think it's good, I'm going to like it just to give you that support, to help you get that momentum. Same thing with likes on Facebook. And this has actually gotten me in trouble. I lost a client a few weeks ago because I liked something on Facebook that she didn't agree with. But that's how I do things. When I go on Facebook and I go into my feed, if you've got something that you've put a lot of time in, even if it's not something that I'm 100% in agreement with, look, I'm going to like it, give you a little bit of support, let you know, hey, good job on this. Good job on this win that you've got. Because having been in the situation of creating myself, I know that that's difficult, and I know it's risky for somebody to put something out, even if it's just on Facebook, even if it's just on Twitter. I want to support that and encourage you and others to continue doing that, because I think that's how we progress as humans. I think that's what makes the world great. I might not feel this way had I not done all of these things myself. So I'm forgiving to people when you ask them for support. If they're not in the same business as you are, maybe they haven't written a book and you're asking for support of your book, I get it. They don't know how important it is. With me, until I got married, until I had a wedding, I didn't really think that it was important to go to weddings, to buy gifts, to support a couple in trying to have a great relationship. I just hadn't been there, and it wasn't in my experience. So I get it that some people just don't understand what it is that you're going through. And the reason I bring this up and the reason I'm having this podcast episode is because you, as a speaker, a blogger, an author, somebody who's creating something, it's up to us, people just like us, people that are in the trenches, to support each other to get these projects up to speed when it comes to gaining momentum. That way, other people can see their importance. That way, other people can jump in and not miss out on all this great information that people like us are creating. So now that I've talked about the positives, about why I feel that it's important to support people, support family and friends, let's talk about the downside of supporting family and friends and getting family and friends support. And this is the reason when we went to family and friends with Laurel's crowdfunding project, Project X, Love Your Face on Kickstarter, we did not ask for any more than $1 from our family and friends. Now, if they wanted to give more than $1, we're not going to stop them. But we just wanted $1, and here's the reason. Family and friend support, it's a false sense of success. If you go to your family, if you go to your friends to fill a class, to kickstart a project, to get a lot of reviews for your book, that really means nothing in the general scope of having a big impact. I saw this all the time working in the music industry. People would start a band, they would press a lot of albums up, they would sell CDs, do whatever they're doing, and initially had this great jump at gigs. They would start filling venues. But what happens with family and friends is, one, it's not the general audience that you're looking for. You're not trying to preach to the choir here. You're trying to go for other people. But also, family and friends get tired. For example, if you're a speaker, if you're a comic, if you're in a band, you've got some kind of live event situation, your family and your friends will come for the first one or two, maybe the first three. They'll come when it's important, but they're not going to continue to come because they've already seen what you're doing. But by you having a full audience, you're not going to work as hard trying to bring new people. You've got to be like a cigarette company. People are always dying out. You want to always bring people in and continue to grow that audience because people are getting sick of you. They've heard the material. They're moving on to other things. They're moving away physically. You've got to always keep bringing in new people. And if you go for an audience such as family or friends, an audience that knows you, likes you, trusts you, and wants to support you, because of their relationship with you, they're going to support you a little bit longer, and that gives you that false sense of security because you're not working hard. Well, that's how things can die very, very quickly. And if you've got a Kickstarter project, if you're using family and friends to get funding, this isn't just Kickstarter. This is if you're getting family and friends to fund your business at all. You may be supporting a project that isn't viable. Again, these are people that know you, like you, trust you. They want to support you. They're not thinking, is this a good idea? They're not thinking, is this a product that I want? They're going to give you the money regardless. You could come in with the worst idea ever, and we see this happening all the time. Companies on Shark Tank, companies in these VC programs, these accelerators, where they say, oh yeah, I got my family and friends to invest $1 million in this thing, and I'm not exaggerating. And it's stupid money with a project that hasn't been vetted and a project that is going to go nowhere. And then where are you? You've got a strained relationship with your family and friends. You've wasted your time on a project that's not going to work. And speaking of that strain on relationship, that's why here on Red Podcast, we don't ask for things like votes. We had an opportunity to get a podcast award this year. Not your problem. So we're not going to come to you every day and ask for a nomination. We're certainly not going to come to you and ask you to vote daily, which is what you could have done and what a lot of people were asking for. But personally, I think that puts stress on the relationship. You're here because you want to learn. If you like the other services that we offer, feel free to get them. But by asking you to take time out of your day daily just so we can win an award, something that doesn't really matter when it comes to having connection with you, something that doesn't really matter whether or not we're helping you out or not. If we win the award, we're not going to help you out even more. And to ask you to do something like that, that's unnecessary strain on the relationship. That's why, if possible, you don't ask your people for votes. That's why, if at all possible, you don't go to family and friends for money and you don't ask them for things like awards. You've got to think long term. Where am I going to be in 6 months, a year, 3 years, 5 years? So let's summarize. Should you ask your family and friends to support you? Yes, absolutely. I love the quote that Stephen Pressfield has. It's in one of his books. It's either Turning Pro or War of Art. And both of those are excellent books. I'll have them linked from the episode notes at redpodcast.com/150. Stephen Pressfield says about support is that it's like you being on a ship and everybody else, all the supporters, your family and your friends, standing at the dock. Once the ship sails, you're on your own. Support is great, but I think there should be a better term. You're not looking for somebody to really support you, looking for them to assist you, but what you're really looking for is to be able to stand on your own, and relying too heavily on family and friends for money, that's not going to enable you to do that. Can you be frustrated when people don't support you? Well, not really, because they've never been through what it is that you're going through. Now, can you be frustrated when other podcasters, bloggers, authors, speakers, people in the creative space don't support you when you supported them and when they should understand what it is that you're going through? Yeah, but are you really going to lose a friend over that? You know, if you're going to ask somebody for something, you can ask for anything that you want, but they also have the opportunity to turn you down. That's going to happen. Don't let that keep you from asking for what you want, but don't hold a grudge because somebody's not supporting you. What's the best thing that you can do? Be the kind of supporter that you want to have. And like I said, for me, that's supporting everything. That's supporting Instagram, Facebook, even if it's as simple as making a comment on something online, pressing the like button, pressing a thumbs up, a favorite button. Sometimes it's giving $1 or $2. Sometimes it's giving a whole lot more than that. I buy books. I'm going to buy your album. I'm going to support your movie. Be that kind of supporter. Be that guy. And when you are that guy, more people are going to want to support you. If you got questions or comments, reach out to me. We're online at redpodcast.com. You can get me individually and directly via Twitter at David Hooper is my username. If you like the Red Podcast, if you feel that it's been helpful, please do tell a friend. And if you've got something specific that you want us to cover, reach out. Again, via Twitter, that's at David Hooper. Happy to hear from you. Thanks so much for listening, and I'll see you on the next episode of the Red Podcast.
You've been listening to Red Podcast, Real Entrepreneur Development. Subscribe today using iTunes, Stitcher, or via RSS at redpodcast.com.